Hey guys, Marilyn here. I thought for our first lesson we would do something a little bit more basic and simple. So something that you could wear, for example, to a job interview or to college or school, if you're allowed, that is. So before I started filming, I have already washed and cleaned my face and applied moisturiser. That's why I kind of look a bit like a penny right now. So the next step is primer. So I am using the Revolution Pore Blur. I'm not going to show you it for the pure fact that it is currently cut open because I ran out. Or at least I thought I did. So just going to apply that all over our face and it will fill in all of our pores and also get rid of some of the shininess on my face. So for this I'm just going to use my hands just because I think it adds a little bit of warmth to the product, which means you can really melt it into your skin more. So that is now blended in. As you can see, a lot of the shininess off my face is now gone. So usually at this point, this is when I wet my sponges, so I'm going to go do that now just while the primer sets into my skin. Okay, so now the primer is nice and settled into my skin, so it's not as wet, so to the touch my face feels a hell of a lot smoother. So now I go into my foundation routine. So at the minute I'm using the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless in the shade 97. Let's see if I can get that in focus. Nope, that's not going to work. But this foundation for me actually is a lifesaver because I can have quite oily skin at times, so it just gets rid of all the oil and makes my skin look a lot smoother. So I'm going to take that onto the back of my hands and I am going to apply it with my sponge, as personally I don't like using brushes for this because I think it can add a lot of texture to my skin specifically. But of course, as this is makeup, do whatever you think is best for you. So I'm just going to dab it onto my skin. Another pro to this foundation is it's quite a light foundation, so it's not very thick. So it doesn't feel like you're wearing a mask on your face when you've got this one on, in my opinion anyway. It's also quite full coverage for a light foundation. So it covers a lot of my blemishes and makes my skin look really smooth. Okay, now my face is covered in the product. So usually this is where you would then blend the foundation down to your neck, but as my foundation is pretty much the exact same as my natural skin colour, I don't do it. But if you're using a foundation that is a little bit lighter or a little bit darker, just to help it blend all the way down, so you'd apply it to your neck as well. Otherwise, if you don't, you can end up with a really harsh line of colour around your chin and it's not that flattering. It could potentially make you look like an Oompa Loompa from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and we don't want that. We want to be able to show our skill and ability, and just little things like that can make people roll their eyes at you, which in my opinion, not great. You shouldn't do that, but if you want to avoid that, then apply it to your neck as well. So onto concealer. As I am by trade a drag queen, I use a lot of concealer because I have what was called a too much gene, so I use too much of it basically. So I use the Revolution Matte Base Concealer in the shade C.05, which is again the lightest shade. So I apply it to all the areas on my face that I want highlighted. So my under eyes, my upper lip, Cupid's bow area, my chin and my forehead. I do this because I want the most light of my face and I want that part I want the centre of my face to be the place that gets the most attention. Remember, I'm actually a drag queen, so I don't do the stereotypical everyday concealer, but I blend it enough that it looks it. And then on my top lip, can make you look like you've got a mustache. So I do it all the way up towards my hairline. I know a lot of people will tell you not to do that, but in my opinion it actually helps lift your cheekbones. Then I take it down, again to bring more attention to the centre of my face. And the same on the other side. A little dot on the tip of my nose, just to make it look a little bit more button-like. And down the centre. And then down to my forehead. At this point, if I am doing drag makeup, I also do my jaw, but I'll show you that when we get onto the more advanced drag sort of looks. So then taking the same sponge that I used to do my foundation, I then just blend it out. Okay, so when I blend the dot on the end of my nose, I actually use the most pointed side just so it keeps that dot-like shape and doesn't spread it out too far. Okay, so now as you can see, the centre of my face is the brightest part of my face, which is exactly what we want. So away from wet products, as you could call it, I'm going to go onto my powder. So I use the translucent baking powder from Revolution. You will find out through this course that I love my Revolution products. It's pretty much all I use. So I put my powder on with a powder puff. I don't like using brushes, as I think it helps melt the powder more into my face. So I start at my under eyes, as we don't want the concealer and the foundation to crease. So I just dab it on. And under my eyes I do put quite a thick layer of powder, as I also leave it there to help with baking. So when you bake your face, it helps brighten the highlighted points of your face. So anywhere that I placed concealer, I put the most powder. So then when we contour our face, it will help bring out the lights and the darks of our face. And then after I've done that, I just go on to do the rest of my face. Okay, so now we are all powdered and it is all over my shirt. I then take a brush just to brush away any excess powder on the parts on my face. So now, as you can see, our faces will look a lot smoother. Yeah, a lot smoother, sorry. Our faces now look a lot smoother and it doesn't look too heavy to say the amount of product that is currently already on our face. So after I do my foundation routine, I then go on to contouring my face. So for contouring, I use the Chocolate Marble I Heart Revolution contour palette. It's got quite a nice contour shade along with highlight, which goes amazingly with the contour, which is always helpful. So to do this, I take a angled contour brush and tap away any excess. So when I'm contouring my face, I go from the top of my ear down. So I make this line here, which will be underneath your cheekbone. Right, so if you compare this side now with this side of my face, you can see this side, what's the word? It's got a lot more shape to it than this side does, because I am not blessed with cheekbones, though I have to make my own. So then I do the same on the other side. And just make sure that they're both even. Okay, so now our cheeks are nice and contoured, I then go on to doing my jaw. Because same situation as my cheekbones, I am not blessed with a beautiful jawline, so I use the power of makeup to make myself look skinnier than I am. So I just take mine to the back of my ear, as it doesn't create a harsh line here. It helps blend it all back. Now I know it looks quite harsh, so I take another brush to just blend it all in. See, now it doesn't look like we're wearing a chin strap. So after I do my jaw, I do my forehead. So as I have quite a round face, I like to make my face look a bit more like it's a heart shape, as I am a very, very big Marilyn Mournroe fan, as you can probably see behind me. So I like to make my forehead and my eye area look a bit wider. So I just apply it to the sides of my head here. And down into my eye area. You know, as I've done that, my forehead looks a bit flatter and a bit wider. And just blend it out again. Okay. So now for the worst part of contouring, which is the nose. It can go one of two ways. You can either make you look like you've had one too many rhinoplasties, so your nose looks too skinny for your face, or if you do it too wide, it can make you look like you're in Avatar, which if you guys knew 13-year-old me, I definitely looked like I was in Avatar because it was way too wide for my face. So to do my nose contour, I used the Water Drag Stunning brush. That was really hard for me to say. And I used the same contour colours. The same technique of tapping it away. So I go from my eyebrows down the sides of my nose, slowly making it skinnier as it gets to the end. And blend that out. I know it still looks quite harsh, it's going to get blended further, don't worry. So I do the same on the other side. So as you can see, it is still quite harsh lines, but that is just for now while I am planning out my nose contour. So then for the end of my nose, I try to make it look a little bit more round to create the effect of a button nose, as I think that's what looks best on my face personally. And so now we have the desired shape. I then take the same brush to blend it all in. So after contour, the next step is blush. I know a lot of people are scared of blush, and I was very scared of blush because I didn't want to look like Pennywise. So I use a more cool tone blush, and also as I spend a lot of time on TikTok, I have fallen in love with the way e-girls do their blush. So I use the Ruby Chocolate I Heart Revolution blush palette, which as you can see I love. I use it a lot. So I just take a angled brush again, as I like to do the trend from old Hollywood movies where they enhance the contours of their face with blush. So using the darker two of the palette, I just put it all along near where the contour is and onto the apples of my cheeks. Just adds that little bit more colour to your face, so it makes you look a little bit less dead. And the same on this side. I also like to put it at the underneath tip of my nose, which is very, very inspired by the e-girl trend from TikTok. So I just like to put a little bit here. It's also a trick that Marilyn Mournroe used to do with her makeup artist Whitey Snyder. So now we've got colour back in our face. This is where I do my highlight. So using the same contour palette as earlier, this one here, I like to use a more compact fluffy brush for it. I like to use one of these ones as it can help contain the highlight into one specific area instead of it going all over your face. Just take it on the brush, tap away any excess, and I just apply it onto my cheekbones. I also like to go up this area so it gets to the brow bone. And do the same on the other side. I then also take some highlighter, put it on my cupid's bow, as it can just make your lips look that little bit more poutier. And the chin. And I like to put a little bit on the centre of my forehead, which again helps the highlights of your face pop out that little bit more. On my nose. And then for the tip of my nose, I don't like to use a brush, as it can sometimes make it go everywhere and ruin the contour, so I just like to use my ring finger and just dab it on gently. So now our face is all highlighted. That is actually all of the base makeup. In the next video I will show you guys how to do eyebrows and just a really simple basic eye look. So I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope this was informative and helpful.